What's up, KOM Chasers? I've got a fun little segment for you today to do in the gravel. This is called the Banning Canyon Road Climb, and you can see that I just went through a gate. That gate is at the end of Bluff Street in Banning, California. So if you take San Gorgonio straight up north, then it turns into Bluff Street, and then you get to the gate that gets you onto the dirt road here. So I'm speeding through this first little section to get to the start of the segment, and then once we're there, then I'll go over the stats. We'll go over all the data so that you know what you're shooting for. Okay, all right, and here we go. So you see that we just went through a little wash, a little riverbed there, and that's where the segment starts. So if you want to look it up, it's the Banning Canyon Road Climb. And this is a nice clean gravel road for you to take all the way up. And it just rained here like really bad yesterday. So if you see some ruts and stuff, that's not typical. Actually, there weren't many ruts at all. The ground was pretty hard packed and actually perfect. Okay, so let's get into the details of this segment. It is a 2.84 mile segment with an average grade of 5.3%. So it's a pretty steady climb, and I noticed that as I was doing it, it varied between 3 and 8% throughout different sections of this climb, with no descending whatsoever through the entire segment. So the average there, 5.3%, that's pretty middle ground. But just know that there are some spots where it levels off just a little bit, or the grade gets a little bit less, so that you have a little bit of recovery time. And let's pull up the data from our current KOM holder. And the current KOM holder is Attila Valter. And so this person did the climb in 16 minutes and 28 seconds. Average speed of 10.4 miles per hour. And they were using a power meter and held 277 watts for the entire duration of this 2.84 miles. So pretty tough. Yeah, I think that would be a very difficult wattage to hold for the entire segment. I'd like to point out the wattage that I'm currently holding, which is in the mid 200 range. And during the steeper sections, like right now I'm at 5%, I'm up in the 300 range, 350-ish. And I've also got this video on Zoom, on speed, so I've got it on double time. So it's not super fast, it's fast enough just to be able to see the video without skipping over too much of the terrain. So you still get a good view of what is actually happening in this ride. Oh, and there was a truck that just went by me, which is, I felt like it was extremely rare and very unlikely to have any car pass on this trail at all. That was a City of Banning truck, actually, and the guy just waved at me. So you notice that I came in the gate at the beginning of the video, which that gate ended up being shut and locked by the time I got back down at the bottom of the hill. But the city worker didn't seem to mind that I was out there riding the trail, so that's good news. That's good to know. Anytime I cross a gate, I'm always unsure who I'm going to meet and how they are going to receive me. So this was a nice response, knowing that I could, go out there and do this section without any complications. I'm actually speeding this video up a little bit more. I'm doing 4 times the speed now, and that's just because the terrain is pretty similar for the whole thing. I really like it because you can just bear down and grind through this entire segment. And it's a great workout, fun, easy section that doesn't really require much technical skill or thought whatsoever. There's no sections really that you're going to slip out or lose any grip on the road. I was riding with about 45 psi in both of my tires, and that's pretty high for a more technical road. But for this, it was perfect. It was almost like road biking on dirt, so I really enjoyed that. And this was my first time doing this road, so I was really kind of exploring, and I had looked up the segment before I started, so I knew what I was doing. I knew how far I needed to go. I knew that it was about 3 miles from the gate just under that, and so that's what I was kind of keeping an eye out for. But if you've got a little bit more time, then this road turns into a beast if you keep on going. I've explored some other people who have done the segment, and it looks like you could actually connect this to Oak Glen Road, which would be a very cool ride. So I think I'm probably going to try that in the future. But if you wanted to stay dirt this entire time, then you could take it all the way up to something called Snow Peak, which I looked it up, and there's a spot up there that is about 3 miles long, average grade 10%. So that's another one that I'm really interested in trying. I think if you just started at the bottom of Bluff Road there, or at San Gorgonio, and took it all the way up to Snow Peak, oh man, that would be a heck of a ride. A great workout. Hopefully a lot of fun. I'm not sure how long 10% feels okay for. Even if you're in your granny gear, going up that kind of climb is gonna be painful. And so the guys that had done it before, that I saw on their Strava, it looked like they did that entire climb in about 3.5 hours. So there was only 2 of them who have done it, so I don't know if I could say that that's fast or slow or about right. I really have nothing to compare it to. And those 2 did it together on the same day. So I'm really interested to do it for myself and to see how it goes, to see what I think. And then I'll be able to give you guys a better, accurate description of how difficult that 10% grade actually is. Okay, so in our video, it's actually getting pretty steep right here. This is the 8 and 9%. Okay. Yeah, so some steep grades right here, and my power is actually diminishing a little bit. But good for me is that we are approaching the end of the segment. So that's kind of the peak right there. A slight downhill, and there we go. That's the end of the segment. So once you have that little refreshing downhill, that's your end right there. And to go over my stats, I did it in 20 minutes and 1 second, and my average power was 243 watts for that entire thing. So it looks like I need to increase my watts by about 30 on that segment if I'm going to match that of the KOM holder. And who knows the weight of that person? They may be heavier or lighter than I am, so that would be a difference as to how close my time would actually be if I was able to match that wattage. So I highly encourage you to come out to Banning, California